Welcome back to DuckmanCycles. I'm ashamed to say that it looks like I forgot to do something important to my Eleanor, as a recent acquisition of a set of dual Dellorto carburetors changed my plans just a little bit. Because my hands are so damn big, there's just no way I'm going to be able to get to the front carburetor nuts to mount these things, nor the front spark plugs when it comes time to pull or replace them. This was especially a concern that I had for the next stage of this engine. If you recall, this engine is a stock 1600 with a low miles rebuild, because that's what I have here, that's what's in the budget, and it's already paid for.
So shut the fuck up, Papa.
In the future, it will become my backup engine when we build a proper fire-breathing monster with dual carbs. And well, I knew I would have to deal with a fight installing and removing this engine, and because I'm a tinkerer, I take things apart. A lot. I just don't want to have to live with an endless headache. Since I'm installing dual carbs on a 1600 now, I have to consider the problem sooner rather than later. And this problem is the hang-up this week that is preventing this engine from being installed. So off comes the fenders. And it hurts me to say this, especially after this beautiful paintwork from Earl at Classic Car Creations blew my entire budget. But a little body modification is in order here. So let's cry now together so we can laugh about it later. Licky likey, comment and subscribe. Don't forget to pluck the dingle bell as you get updates every time I upload a video. Check out duckshit.net for all my different social media links as well as my other YouTube channels. And we'll be back right after that intro. Thanks for watching. Well, what do you do when you want to work on dual carburetors on your Volkswagen Beetle, but your hands are very big and your patience is very small? You get some Hooky's HiPacs, of course. And what are HiPacs? They're very similar to Weber windows or carburetor ports that you may have seen from other vendors before, but the Hooky's ones are the best. These guys give you full access to both spark plugs as well as the entire area around both cylinder heads from underneath your fender. And we're going to install these today on Eleanor, and we're going to show the entire process. If you'd like to get some for yourself, hookyspanelshop.com. Hooky himself is not sponsoring this video in any way. I just like to make that clear. I paid for these, I bought these, and I like these. And I recommend that you get some, especially since the dollar to the British pound right now has a really, really good exchange rate. So if you need some of these and you're in America, get them. Hooky also mentioned that he might be retiring soon, so it's probably a good idea that you order a set if you're gonna do it, because there's no time to wait. Thanks you guys for watching, and we'll be back after we chop some holes. One of the things that's really, really important to me is getting that engine put in. I've got to do some body modification, and it hurts to even talk about it. And I'm going to ask for forgiveness after we pull out this saw, because she's just not ready to go from where I want her to be. So, anyways. Alright, our flange. I'm going to put it on the inside here. And it's nicely cut with a relief in the corner over here. And it just happens to line up with the sheet metal that Eleanor has on here. And lined up in the front, lined up in the back with that, and it's right up against the firewall. It's a good thing I didn't run this stuff all the way to the very, very edge. First we're going to try to drill some screw holes and get this thing mounted in place. Why I'm doing that is because I'm breaking the rules on this a little bit. I'm going to put it on the outside. Well, just follow me, you'll see. I'm breaking the rules a little bit per the manuals on Hooky's website because I'm going to line things up a little differently. Alrighty, I drilled out those holes and mounted the inner flange on the outside, and here's why. Look at this. There's going to be my opening line. But according to the instructions, you don't want to cut the hole quite that big. You're going to cut in about an inch less than that. And I'm sure there's a reason for that. I'm sure it has lots to do with bending of metal and that sort of thing. Alright, and I can take these screws back out and get ready with that saw. Fun! Yay! Alright, Mr. Earl, please forgive me. did some beautiful work on that to get that nice and smooth too. I could see all the filler in it, and that's what was burning that smelled so bad. Ugh. All right, well, now we have the hole. Put this back in here. Whew. The smell of burnt paint filler is just, it's overwhelming. Alright, now I can get some of these screws back in here. And then I can get a clamp on to hold the thing in place, mark the rest of my holes, and get the screws in. It was kind of my thought. I'm sure it was an extra step with a little more work. But I think it's going to work just fine. And as you probably noticed, some of the holes are a little elongated. That's my own fault. But before I get everything permanently put in, I can clean all that stuff up, so I'm not too worried about it. In fact, I'm not even a little bit stressed about it at all. Because, of course, all this stuff gets covered with a beautiful stainless steel panel, which will probably get more beat up from stone chips than anything else. And I see this is sucking in the engine compartment wall just a little bit. Just a little bit, it deflected. And for whatever it's worth, that'll probably make it more rigid. These are pulling everything together. Nice seeing everything on here snugged up now. Here we go. There it is. Looks pretty good. How I think I'm going to attach this is Hooky says to weld it in with a bunch of plug welds. I think, yeah, it looks like it'll be fine. And Earl will agree. Just some panel bond all the way around this, seeing as how I'm working in a finished area where the paint and the bodywork is finished. There's no sense that there's no sense in welding all around this and burning things or smoke damaging things or getting sparks on the beautiful paint. I mean, no matter how much you mask everything off, you're gonna get a spot somewhere. Where a little panel bond is just a little bit of glue, and then I'll just reattach this thing with screws, and then the next day it'll be hard as a rock and it's not going anywhere. And seeing as how the screws go through the lid on it and close everything together like a sandwich, there's no reason it would ever move anyway, because it doesn't have anything trying to pull it off. So I think that's probably going to be a good method for that. Alright, now we know what we need to do from here, and now we can finish cutting our hole out. And what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to cut the hole just a little bit smaller than the opening is on purpose, because I want to roll the edges of this steel, because this is all burred and stuff, and yeah, I know I can file it down, but it's still going to have an edge. Whereas if I roll it into the inside of the panel and then file it, then the outside will have a nice smooth professional finish. So I think that's what we're going to do here. So let me get some markers here and start trimming some stuff out. Because once everything is said and done here, this should look really nice. Alright, there goes. Alright, come on now. Watch your fingers on this stuff, Darkman. You know this stuff is so sharp there, Darkman, that you're going to rip your fingers off. You know what's funny is I never get cut on sharp metal. Now if I'm working on tiles though, I managed to find the only sharp room in the only sharp corner in the entire room. My flesh will find it somehow. Anyway, we've got a nice lip. It's anywhere between 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch all the way around. Yeah, that I can roll it over. That's what I'll do. I'll roll it into place, and then when I get on the inside here, flap wheel it off so it's nice and flat. All right, well, the hole just got bigger. Yay. All right, down under here, you guys can see where this flange now presses in around that lip that I formed. when I had this thing screwed in tight, that lip actually retained this flange, which was kind of interesting, which means I wouldn't need to weld it nor glue it. But we're going to glue it anyway. In fact, I'm going to bend it a little more too, just to make it a little tighter fit in here. But that's all there is to it. And as you can see, I've cleaned up the edge, which I'm going to go over it with a little lacquer thinner to make sure all the dust is off and any grease or anything else. Because this is where we're going to put that epoxy on. I'll clean up the other side of this too. And then I'll stick this right into place, run all the screws in it, and then by tomorrow, this thing should be ready to rock and roll. Now, Earl will like that because Earl's the one that turned me onto this epoxy stuff. Here's our caulk gun. Brand new, still has the tag on it even. How about that? Then I have a little bit of 3M 08115. Earl turned me onto this stuff. Put it in here, bust the cap off of it, and there's a special nozzle that goes on it that zigzags and mixes it. And I'm going to try to do this all at once, because once you start using this, it's done. So I'm going to run all the way around this. I'm going to do the one on the other side, and at the same time, while we're at it, we're going to do the gas hull filler door area on Robert's Beetle. There should be enough in this tube to get them all. I don't see why not. And if there isn't, well, I guess I have to open up another one. But you don't have to spread it on too thick. You don't have to do anything too crazy. It just needs to be. This is non-structural stuff. It's not holding up the vehicle. Anyway, here we go. I bent this thing, so it's got a little bit more of a contour on it. And now, it doesn't want to spring out anymore. It sits right where it needs to be. There it is. I'm done. I don't even have to glue it. Ah! That's Robert you hear in the background. Robert, am I allowed to put you on video?
I guess so.
All right, we're going to put him on video. All right. You can see his gas fill door area over there has the new pieces kind of dropped into it. The old one just kind of pried out. The little welds that were on it weren't holding very well anymore, so I just started prying and it went doink, and it broke and it popped right on out. So being rusty was kind of an advantage. The good news is the flange it sits in is in good shape. And here's Robert. Let's go, Robert. You going fishing today?
Oh yeah.
Got your fishing hat on there?
Yep. Got a big old hook too.
Oh man, I thought that was your big old rod.
It could be.
He's sitting there screwing around with his rod.
Well, this one's for screwing around with, and this is one for fishing with.
Oh, all right. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Although typically when I'm screwing around, I come out smelling like fish, but you know. He's changing out his tie rods, getting the chassis ready for the body to go back on. I don't have that much welding repairs to do on this thing yet. So Robert's going to get this thing out of here tomorrow, and he's going to drive it to the car show this weekend.
Yeah,
anyway,
sure.
There it is. A little interjection, a little break. Ah! And off we go. I got to cut out that other side now. I have been putting this off for a while. One of the big reasons is because the damn hurricane winds were blowing shit around the yard so severely that I was afraid to bring Eleanor outside. That's a true story. It was that bad. And it's still a little windy today even. We're talking, you know, almost a week and a half later after the hurricane is long since gone. It's just, I guess that's the season. All right, let's go ahead and grab that flange for that side, try to get things lined up, start making some marks, and start sawing away. I am a bumbler, and I drop things, and I beat things up, and I make messes, and I just know I am going to screw this car up. So we might as well take proper precautions, and try to cover up the areas in which I'm going to be working, so that way I don't destroy the nice paint on here. There we go. It'd probably be easier with the deck lid off, but yeah, that should do it. This looks different than the other side. The stampings are just different. I don't know how that's all going to fit.
Are you still recording?
It's actually really lumpy bumpy. Okay, well, let's go with it. Let's see what happens.
I did not realize you were still recording.
Of course I'm still recording. Dipshit.
Don't tell me how to measure my dip.
Dipshit. Alright, doing what I did before. I put a couple of bends in it to give it better contour here. Placing it in, it just about fits. So we're gonna do things a little bit differently on this side because I think I screwed up the order in which I did things. What I'm gonna do is I'll get this traced out and get the holes cut. And then I will get everything sanded to approximately where the metal is supposed to go. Then I'll epoxy it, bend everything into place with the screws and everything in. It'll all be in at the same time. Bend everything into place and then file off the back side of it and never have to take this thing out again. What I did on the other side is I had to take it in and out a couple times because, well, I did it in a wacky order. So this will be in once, done. So anyway, that's what we're gonna do. This is a pretty good fit. I think I can play with it a little bit and get it a little bit better. Yeah, it's actually not too bad now. All the contours on this side are very, very different. It's going to be a lot more bending and tweaking of metal to make that lip happen. All right, well, let me grab a Sharpie. No, it's rolling away again. Oh, jeez, I'm going to lose my chair. Oh. This is where we're gonna make it live right here. This is gonna be a line. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut inboard of that about a ½ inch or so. Inboard just a little bit. I'm gonna have enough space that we can get some vice grips in here to lock it all down. That's the piece we're gonna cut out. You guys probably can't hardly see the ink, but I can see it just fine. All right, let's get ready to start chopping. Oh, I wanted to do this from the outside, but the way we're doing it differently on this side, this is just how it's gonna be. I did say earlier that this is not structural, but it kind of is, because essentially this is what holds up your rear bumper. It's just not part of the, that's the best way to say it, part of the overall structure of the body. Rather, this is just a very specific piece over here. Man, I think it is lined up. Line up, you son of a... Yeah. Here we go. These are very important to get this thing clamped down as tightly as possible before you mark where your holes are going to be drilled. Because if you don't get it tight, what will happen is if you mark the holes, they're going to come out of alignment once everything gets tightened down. Because it's going to, well, I guess the best way to put it is shrink the part. Probably the wrong term, but if you take a straight line and bend it, the two ends of the line, of course, are going to get closer together, and that's kind of the way it happens with the holes here. So, yeah, it's important that this get clamped down very, very well. I think that about gets us. Yeah, I think we're good here. Alright, this clamp is on that hole, so I won't be able to mark that one. But we'll get the rest of them marked right where they sit. Hopefully the Sharpie will reach. Just kind of thread it into the hole. What'd you do today? Well, I screwed a Sharpie into a hole. Duckman, you did what? Alright, now we can take these clamps back out. We can get these holes drilled. I love these clamps. Dad had about 80 of them, and I kid you not, there's a huge basket of them I inherited. And I'm very appreciative because I use the crap out of these things. I think I even owned about 20 of them or so before I got his. Alright. There's our markings where our holes are going to be drilled. We got all our holes drilled. I use a tapered drill bit typically, because what you can do is go through from the front and then run through from the back and deburr it. So that works really nicely. You drill the holes just a little bit bigger than they need to be, so that way if there is any alignment issues at all, you should be able to get the screws in without any problem. And I trust this side better than the other side because the first side was my practice side. Which means this time, I'm an expert. Now if only I could get the thing in where it belongs. Get in there, you! There it goes. So all these screws go in just fine without any problems. We don't have to fine-tune any of these holes. Then, one of them DUI mopeds. You guys know the type. Put the gas engines on the bicycles. At least they do that here in Florida because they turn a blind eye on that stuff. Even though technically it is considered a motor vehicle, and you're not supposed to be on it. Cops don't seem to bother those guys much. And make sure that this thing lays flat. If it does, then we're going to sand off the paint on the inside. And once that's sanded off, then we can glue this thing in, glue the other side in, and then glue in Robert's gas filler, all at the same time. Some of you like my wooden handle screwdrivers. I inherited a whole bunch of them from my dad. I was asked that the other day. I have a bunch of my own also. And then in the toolboxes that I've gotten over the years, when I clean out people's garages and such, legally, sometimes I end up with a handful of tools, or sometimes I even find them inside of a Volkswagen when I bring them home. And I probably have about a dozen of these, all different sizes, Phillips and flat. Again, I'm going to replace these screws with little Allen key style crackhead screws. Alright, just double check. So that one can still go a lot more. There we go. Everything's starting to settle in now. The metal is starting to conform. Yeah. There we go. Let's see what it looks like on the inside. You guys can see where I've got to make a line inside here. And I need to start folding that metal over on the inside, but I'm going to cut off a lot more of it before I even get that far. That's where we're at. It looks like it's nice and snug. There's no significant gaps the whole way around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a mark, sand off a line, get it glued, and then, well, we're going to run the screws back into it and let it sit. And while it's sitting, we're going to conform the metal, get the edges filed off, and make this thing just look really nice, like we did over here on the other side, which isn't glued in yet, but yeah, it looks pretty damn good. Alright, well, I'm happy. Go ahead and get the paint off, because the epoxy no sticks unless the paint is off. Looking pretty good there. Let's clean this up. I don't want to breathe. I've got fans and things set up to blow it out. There's that fancy pants caulk gun I was telling you about. And in the background, yes, you can hear the creepy ice cream man again. And a siren at the same time. But anyway, there's a zigzaggy tip in here where the two parts of epoxy will mix. This tip, you throw it away because anything it gets in there is going to be ruined, of course. It's going to solidify the tip. But it'll squeeze and you can see it making its way. This is the first time I've ever used this stuff. I've just watched Earl, so I am in no way a professional. But I am pretty good about working my caulk, so I'm going to assume that I'm going to be okay at this. Alright, let that pressure off. Pull the handle back a bit. Whoa! I didn't mean to lose the whole damn thing. Alright, throw that right back in there. Get this out the way. Let's start putting this sucker in here before that stuff solidifies. And then I'm fucked. Clamp here. Let it a little more snug. And put one right in here. Put that together. I think we're in pretty good shape over here. Now we need to switch sides. Alright. Okay. And we have to put our piece back on. This guy. This one I've already got the lip bent for, so this is pretty easy to get it lined up. It just kind of falls in. Okay. Get our screws run in. I don't know how fast that epoxy sets. It might be really an overnight thing, but it also might be 15 minutes. I didn't see anything that made it clear in the documentation that was with it. I probably should have looked online for the instructions before I even started working with it, you know. Foolish me, right? Oops, got can't split out. Okay, I'm gonna put one clamp right here. What? We're going to put two clamps in there. As I saw when I squeezed it, the epoxy squished out, so clearly that's a spot that needs more gripping. And you know what? This screw needs to be tighter anyway, because I forgot to do it. There we go. Alright, now I see the epoxy is squishing. Yeah, it's all starting to come out. Alright, well good. Alright. Took care of this earlier. This is normally held in by about 6 welds. This epoxy method is just much cleaner. I don't have to get anything hot, I don't have to set fire to anything. I don't have to fix any holes burnt in anything. It's just a much more elegant solution that just looks better in the end. There's enough of this in here that it squishes out. Don't mind being a little liberal when it comes to this stuff. But don't use too much because it is a little expensive. I actually used a lot less of that than I thought I would today. Okay. And this, which has already had the paint removed from the back side of it. Alright, I need to put a clamp on it, a couple clamps I think. Yeah. Pinch it here, pinch it here. That side's already tight. Alright, we're effectively glued in. Got them all clamped up the best I could. Some of those clamps are really hard to get reached around some of the contours that are on there. As far as the tube is concerned, I didn't use but maybe a quarter of it. This tube is kind of small. I expected them to be like full-sized caulk tubes when I ordered them, but no, those little bitty guys. But it went a lot further than I thought it would. And this is the waste right here. Anything that's in this tip is effectively ruined, so don't expect that to last. There is a plug that goes in there. I'm going to clean that tip out, and that's also more waste. Put the plug back in. All right, well, I'm pretty confident that epoxy is going to hold these things in quite well. There's a lot more surface area because that entire lip is glued in versus having a dozen spot welds, which is what the instructions actually said to do. So yeah, I broke the instructions a little bit, but I mean, I think I kind of broke the instructions on the whole car when I built it. That looks pretty good to me. That one is effectively done. The only thing I have to do on that is just screw the cover onto it. This side, however, I still need to bend that metal over to form that nice lip and then cut the rest of it off. And once that's done, then all I have to do is run around here with a little primer, sand, and paint, and then effectively I can walk away from it. I do have some nice stainless steel covers that go on the outside of these. And while I did think it would be nice to put a hinge on it or something, for whatever it's worth, having all those screws is adding a little more integrity to the body. Again, the only part of the body here that requires any strength is going to be the rear bumper area. But when it comes to hitting a Beetle in the rear end anyway, I mean, it's truly the engine that's your crumple zone. It's not so much the bumper, because the bumper doesn't do a damn thing. Anyway, as far as that glue is concerned, the reason why I didn't see it is because it says clamps can be removed after 4 hours. It doesn't say actually specifically about cure time. Rather, it just says clamps can be removed. So anyway, it's almost 6 o'clock right now. So tonight, 10 o'clock, when it's dark as hell, is when these things can finally come off. So I guess what's going to happen is I'm going to put everything away and leave it alone overnight. And I'm going to come out here in the morning and wrap up this video and upload something for you guys, which will probably be around lunchtime. So by the time you see this video, yeah, I guess it'll be lunchtime. It'll be released on Tuesday.
The following day.
All right, well, let's see how this turned out. I put my pin back in the hood. No, the spring does hold it, but it's kind of heavy. Probably because of all the paint and stuff that went on it. Everything got a lot denser on this car since Earl worked on it. Anyway, there's the HiPac on the left side. There it is. Looks like I can pull those clamps out without a problem. See, there's a little bit of the glue here, and it is, like I said, hard as a rock. I'm trying to pick it off, and it ain't going anywhere. There we are on this side. This side, I still need to roll the edge of the metal over the flange that we glued in. Looking pretty good. There it is on the outside. We can go ahead and remove those clamps. Well, I know you're wondering, hey, what about Robert's Beetle? Let's go check. All right, well, here we are. I don't see any reason I can't pull these clamps off right now. There it is. A little bit of it got out. Oh boy, and it's hard as a rock. I'm gonna have to hit it with the grinder to get it out of there. But it oozed out all around the edges, which is nice, because that means it's watertight. And it ain't going anywhere. That's a permafix. Very nice. We're casting some pretty heavy shadows today. hopefully the video turns out good. Good enough anyway. Yeah, nice rolled edge. A little bit of the glue squeezed out there, but we'll file that off. We got a little sharp point there. I'll hit that with the file too. Otherwise, no sharp edges anywhere. That's good. So I'm not going to get cut on it when I reach through this thing to work on the engine. Very, very nice. Let's pull them screws out of here, and we'll get some primer and paint on it, and then we'll see what everything looks like when we final assemble. All right, let's pull these clamps out of here. As I said, I love these clamps. These are all real vice grips too, and a lot of them are older than I am. Yeah, Dad bought all real name brand stuff because all that China crap didn't exist back then. Everything wasn't so damn expensive either. Alright, well that looks pretty good. Now we're going to go through the very, very nerve-wracking experience of rolling that lip. And when you guys see how this is done, and the reason why I didn't show you on the other side is because it was purely experimental, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing or what I was getting into. So let's go ahead and make that happen. Alright, this is cringeworthy, it really is. But I don't know any other better way to do it. So what we're going to do is just gently as you saw, it came out really good on the other side and worked just fine. We don't need to abuse it. Hit it too hard. We're just looking for a 90-degree roll over that edge. And yes, it's going to fuck up the paint, as you see what's going on right here. You don't have to hit it too hard. It's just sheet metal, and it will go. I think I might have to put a little relief cut in the corner here. Probably one up here too. You know what? I need a relief cut over here also. This needs to bend a lot further, and it's having trouble expanding into that corner. But no big deal. We're I'm not sure how much the camera picked up, but the camera glitched out and died. Just shut itself off for whatever damn reason while I was out here working. But what I'm doing here is exactly what you see. Hammering that lip around the flange. Being gentle. You don't have to hit her too hard in the rear end, although Eleanor probably would really like that, right, my girl? That's my kind of girl. But right now it's just a quest of getting it flat. All I had to do was fold it over 90 degrees over that flange. And yeah, it's totally fucking up the paintwork on this side, but as my dad taught me in auto body when I was a kid, sometimes you have to make things worse to make them better. And this side, because it's not just a flat piece of sheet metal, this one had all kinds of stampings in it. This one's actually a lot harder to get coaxed to where it needs to go. There's a lot of goofy little high spots. In the swedge lines on here from all those stampings. Yeah, this was not as easy, and it's a shame that the camera may not have recorded it all. And if it did, hey, I'll put it up there and may be able to recover part of the file. But anyway, that's it. Let me show you up close. I may fine tune and tweak it a little bit more, but it's just about ready to cut. Yeah, close up look. You see how I just hammered that metal around that edge. Taking extra care because I didn't want to bash up any of the paint all around through here. And I also don't want to beat it so hard that things start moving, because if this starts moving and changing shape, it might crack the paint, and that's not a good thing either. So very delicately, you saw, I wasn't hitting it too hard. I just got that metal to fold over that lip. So all this needs to be sanded out in here. Some of the paint has come loose, and that's to be expected. So I have my little belt sander that I'll run around on the inside of there. And a lot of this lip is going to disappear because I'm about to cut it off. So And then of course, once that's done, primer paint, and it's finished. All right, well, I think we're in a good spot. Let's get to cutting off this this lip. Some of the washers on those screws are glued in. I'm gonna have to work at them a little bit to pry them out of there. It looks good. I mean, it looks like a very, very finished appearance, but the problem is when I put the cover over this, it's not gonna seal properly. So I'm gonna have to gently pry those screws out. I bet some will probably come out easy and some won't. Well, that wasn't too bad. See if that one comes out. That one's gonna fight me. Oh, nope, never mind, there it is. That one down here. That one's relatively easy. But the glue filled up the holes real nice around the edges, as it kind of squeezed in everything. So that's a nice feature. Yeah, or maybe I should call it a side effect. I don't know. Either way, I'm happy with it. All right, here's hoping this is the last time that I ever have to use a cutting tool on the body of this car. All right, get that file in here. All this debris, the screws are there, but they're safe. So I can put the fan on me now, huh? Very nice. That feels great. Glue, epoxy, that was the right answer. If you guys don't have any welding experience, that's gonna be the way to do it. Alright, we're all primed in. This side too. Also got the outsides. Gonna do just a little bit of sanding on it once it dries up, and then we're gonna hit it with some black enamel, and well, then it's done. I'm excited. Alright, I think I'm quite happy with these results, but it turns out that the black paint that I was using was blacker than black. And you know, when we oh shit, guess I have to start peeling this stuff off slow. A lot of this doesn't need to be here anymore. But I am very, very impressed with the results. So what I had to do was feather out the edges, because my black did not match Earl's. So I just feathered it out, fanned it out, and it's good enough. It's going to be under a fender, of course. So, how much more perfect does it need to be? What the hell? Why did the paper stick? The paper was sticking to nothing. Well, that's a little obnoxious. But I can see in here that some of the primer oversprayed around the paper. So I'm going to have to clean up on this side a little bit. That seems to be why this paper is stuck. I guess the primer dripped onto the paper and soaked through it and glued it down. That's okay. I can fix that. Alright. The way I've got everything masked off is such a way that I don't need a razor blade to cut the dried paint. I think we turned out pretty good in here. A little dusty from some of the primer. I see there's just a tiny little bit of primer overspray there too. So I'll come in here and I'll just quickly black over the little sills on the side. And I think at that point this engine compartment is done. I can just start putting in some seals and get ready to put that engine in. One more thing I need to do before I put the engine in. Well, I don't really need to do it before the engine, but I'd like to do it before the engine. And that's that. Replace those CV joint bolts. Those are all those China bolts. And as we know, based on what happened to Ruby earlier this year, those damn China bolts gave out and broke and left me stranded. Thankfully, I wasn't too far from home. A Wild Bill was able to save the day, but nonetheless, it sucked. All right, well, I think we're wrapping up this video for today. Everything's painted and sealed on there. Looking good. This is the cover, and I'd like to put it on, but I'm not a damn idiot. This paint is still, well, it's not really tacky, but if I put this cover on anytime in the next few days and tighten it down, I'm gonna either pull off chunks of paint or pull off chunks of this insulation that's on the back here when it comes time to remove it. And when I'm putting in Eleanor's engine, I don't want to be dumb enough to have that happen. Now, I know it says low noise technology and it has a barcode of some sort on it, but that's actually a peel off. This is a stainless steel cover underneath. There's another one of them drunk mopeds again. The old DUI mopeds. Anyways, this panel is gonna go into place, but just not yet, not now. So anyways, that's it. HookiesPanelShop.com if you're interested in a set of HiPacs. Again, he's retiring sometime soon, so if you're interested in a set, you probably want to jump on him now. So licky, likey, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to pluck the dingle bells. You get updates every time I upload a video. Check out Duck Shit down there for all my different social media links. And we'll be back, hopefully, with another video tomorrow, because we're trying to do a video every day this week because I got so much going on with this car to get it ready for the car show. So anyway, RareRVW.com. If you want more information about the show, it's right here in Pensacola. It'll be on the 15th of October, 2022. Thanks for watching, guys.